A lot of people don't understand when I say that Mexicans are culturally racist. They think that I'm calling us openly racist. We are culturally racist, and this is how. Part of our culture is to frown upon dark-skinned people. It's been passed down to us by the Spaniards, by our colonizers, by the people that conquered us, taught us that dark skin is inferior, light skin is superior. We were taught that. It was passed down to us, meaning it's part of our culture. We are culturally racist in this aspect. That doesn't mean I go out in the streets and want to hurt black people because they're black.
Right.
It means that our teachings, the way we're raised, is that we are raised to subconsciously believe that dark skin is inferior and light skin is superior. Another element in our Mexican culture is Univision News, Univision channel. That channel is run by white Latinos. The ideologies and subliminal teachings that they teach is very similar to Fox News. White supremacist-ish. They make efforts to depict dark-skinned people as criminals, that whenever they even bother sharing news about dark-skinned people is when they do something wrong. But yet, when they want to mention anything that has to do with light-skinned people, specifically white people, is to depict them as them doing good deeds around the world, feeding the homeless, etc. You get it.
Yeah.
My grandmother was visiting one day from Mexico. She's never lived in the United States. She has no idea what life is out here. She was watching Univision News, where they depicted a black American committing a crime. She turned around and said, "Oye, estos negros solo estorban, ¿verdad? Hey, these black folks, all they do is get in the way, huh?" Here's the interesting part. She's never met a black person in her life. She has no idea what it's like to interact with a black person, but yet she already has an opinion about black people as a whole. Why? Because part of our culture, in this particular case, Univision News, since we were children, we have been subliminally taught the blacks are bad, criminals, etc. And whites are good, decent, giving, saviors, etc. We're taught that. Hearing her express such a hateful remark about a people that I knew for a fact she's never even interacted with. You don't even know a black person. How dare you come here to this country and have a whole opinion about these people? I resented her deeply for it. I regret it because you can't hate her for that. She never got the opportunity to learn what you have. I got the privilege of learning things that I self-taught. Since she's been a child, she's been working in the fields, never had the opportunity to sit and read a book to educate, nothing. All she ever has to teach her anything was this racist, biased news program. How could I blame her? She doesn't even know any better. And even if I sat with her today, I don't even think I could help her understand at this point, because she has lived 80 years worth of only understanding this mentality. A lot of people go to their graves thinking this is normal.
Shout out to this brother. He is a Mexican, and he got on camera and basically called out his own people. He's talking about how hate toward black people did not randomly appear in his community. It was taught, passed down from Spanish colonizers. It is embedded in the media they watch. It is in how they raise their kids. It is in how families talk at the dinner table. And he even talked about his own grandmother. This woman has never in her life met a black person, but she already got opinions about them just from watching news. Think about that. Now, I've got more other clips of Mexicans explaining deeply the issue of anti-blackness in their community. And I have put them together with other clips of black Americans themselves talking about the experience they had in Mexico or the experience they had with Mexicans. So before we get into that, if you have ever experienced anti-blackness from Mexicans, immigrants in America, or maybe you've experienced it while visiting Mexico, I want you to share with us your experience down there in the comment section. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe. This video is for educational purposes. Let's hear from these people. I will come back at the end to deeply analyze what is being said.
Just so you know, Mexico is extremely racist. So we have what are like
Guatemalans,
even to its own Mexicans. So you got to remember, Mexico was dominated by Spaniards. The only reason I look the way I look is because I'm 65% Spaniard.
Yeah.
Mexicans, like real Mexicans, or which is known as Mexica, not Mexico, Mexica, are 5'4", super dark with big noses and the heads pushed back. Aztecs and Mayans,
like Indians.
like Indians.
Yes.
Well, we're natives, right? Yeah. So we're blended. We're natives, right? So we're blended. So the reality is, in Mexico, till this day, if you are not light complected, somewhat tall, you're frowned upon to this day. And by the way, they're very open about it. It's not like it's a secret. It's not like it's a hidden.
Yeah.
You're short and you're dark, and we don't like you. So the fact that it's so funny to me that Mexicans cry racism when they practice more racism in Mexico than America practices on anybody.
There's a lot of racism, bro. Even for us in like Mexicans, there's Mexicans that can't stand black people. They can't stand them. I myself have no problem with color of skin. Like I've kicked it with homeboys that are black, and I remember when I was younger, sometimes I was hungry, we didn't have anything to eat, and I had a friend, I can't remember his name, but me and him, like, he was homeless as well. A black kid from Grape Street. It's a gang. It's called Grape Street. We would go into a Walmart and we would just fill up our stuff. And he's like, you're going to be the decoy. You're going to run out and they're going to chase.
I believe in Mexico there is more racism than here in the United States. I'm from Mexico. And we have levels, stratus, right? The black people, Indian people, mixed people, white people, Spanish white people, and maybe the higher level or your color of your skin defines your status, right?
Mexico is extremely classist.
Yeah.
And like, I've been to Puebla in Mexico, and Mexico City, extremely classist over there. When I go to Mexico, even though I'm black, right, people don't treat me like how they treat dark-skinned Mexicans.
And you don't have the profile of an indigenous person.
Yeah. I speak English, so I'm American, so I'm up here. I was at a club with a person who was dark skinned but Mexican dark. See, even now I'm thinking about, like, it's ridiculous. I didn't even think about this until I got there. There's black, but then he was like the Mexican black, and the waiters of there definitely didn't treat him how they treated me when I walked into the club.
Mexicans, we got to admit, we are a very racist people. Look, a few years ago, Mexico played Germany in the World Cup and won, all right? And I saw a video of Mexicans celebrating by burning the flag of El Salvador. They didn't even play El Salvador. I'm not even sure El Salvador made it to the World Cup. To be honest with y'all, I can't tell the difference between a Mexican and an El Salvadorian to save my life. Is it racist or woke? I'll let you guys decide. Trying to tell the difference between a Mexican and an El Salvadorian is like trying to tell the difference between Sierra Mist and 7-Up. Neither of you is Sprite. Calm the down.
I know I get a lot of love from the Mexican community, but I'm not Mexican. So I don't know how true it is when the Mexican homeboy was talking about how the Spaniards colonized them and taught them that lighter skinned people are superior to darker skinned people. Historically, I do believe that there is some truth to that, but I'm gonna leave it to the Mexicans, man. Feel free to commentate, and I'm interested in everybody's personal experiences on it.
Racism. There's a lot of racism that happens between Latino families and their cultures and their upbringing. Mind you, I'm Dominican, and I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys, especially the fact that I'm a white Dominican, because we all know that when you stereotype Dominicans, they tend to be more of a darker skin complexion. You know, like the beautiful Afro-Latinas. But ever since I was a little girl, I remember my family, including my parents, telling me that I better not fuck up our future generations by ever bringing home a dark-skinned boyfriend. And the craziest part is that there was so much racism even within our families. Mind you, my father was of caramel complexion. His mother was Dominican but black. Like black. And even still, they would say shit like that. And I would think to myself, mind you, I was younger back in the day, right? I would think to myself, like, that is such, that's like hypocrisy at its finest. And it just simply wasn't allowed. It wasn't supported in any kind of way, at least within my family. And I think that a lot of what people don't talk about is that when you are raised around that, what happens? You tend to pick up on those toxic traits. And unless you have the emotional intelligence to honestly think for yourself and break outside of those curses, then you're going to forever think like that. And I think that a lot of what people don't talk about is the fact that a lot of us that do come from that type of upbringing have to literally break out of that mindset to categorize or generalize all Black people, which again is sad. But at the same time, a lot of Black men hold a very toxic and let's just say player mindset that y'all don't do the best at representing otherwise, if you catch my drift. So it is very known for Black men, right, to be good in bed, but then lack the emotional intelligence to be able to maintain or hold a relationship with just one woman. And yeah, I know you're going to hit me with the, well, we're not all the same. But 9 out of 10, y'all carry that reputation with you very fucking well. And let's be honest, Latinas aren't with the shits. Neither are Black women. Hence the whole controversy behind y'all going towards white women that, quite frankly, let y'all slide with a lot of shit. So there's a lot of underlying issues as to why Latinas tend to steer away from Black men. The more you know.
Mexican is basically just a nationality and arguably a culture, I guess. So some Mexicans are purely Black, some Mexicans are purely white, some of them are purely Asian, right? But the vast majority would be what was traditionally known as mestizo. I don't like that word, but that's for another video, right? So they have mixed indigenous ancestry like me, right? When you think of a Mexican, most of them look kind of like me or like George Lopez or something. Now, even if you have like light skin and you're mixed, you're still mixed. You are indigenous, right? Now, it's very controversial for some reason. I don't know, like we're scared of progress or something. But basically, if you're mixed indigenous, you are indigenous. And the common argument that's going to come up, or like the thing that scares you in your mind, is like, obviously, you're not part of like a tribe or something or a nation. But the thing is that indigenous is just kind of like an adjective. So it just means like pre-colonial or naturally occurring. So you know, it doesn't just apply to like a nation, right? Because if you say like that's an indigenous nation that's always existed in the American region, that's a fair statement. But you could also say like that person is racially indigenous to America in the way that, you know, Black people are racially indigenous to Africa. It's the same logic, right? You would never say that, you know, Chris Brown isn't Black because he's mixed with European or something, right? He's Black, right? So he is indigenous to Africa. That's a fair statement. But because of all this colonial propaganda, we're made to be like ashamed of it or just outright deny it. And it really sucks if you're from the US and you're Hispanic and mixed indigenous, because you're kind of treated and taught this weird narrative where you're like an immigrant, but it's like really you're just moving within the continent that has been your homeland for thousands of years. So now I hope you learned something. Remember, you can be indigenous ethnically or nationally or racially. I'm not saying you should claim something that you're not. I'm certainly not saying you should like claim a tribe, even if you're like from it in the past, right? Like let's say like your great grandfather is from like a tribe or nation, right? I'm not saying you're one of them. They might not even exist anymore. They might be very different than when your family like disconnected culturally or had to assimilate or had to move or migrate, you know, or be refugees. But I'm just saying, don't claim anything that you're not, but you are indigenous on a racial level. Most of you.
Mexicans who think they're white, Mexicans who want to be white, Mexicans who crave proximity to whiteness. And although it is a big problem in the Mexican community, I feel like it's canceled out by proud Mexicans. I would argue that most Mexicans are proud to be Mexican. But man, Let me tell you about the Guatemalan community. If you thought self-hate was bad in the Mexican community, the Guatemalan community is on a different level. If there is ever anything anti-Indigenous, anti-Guatemala, pro-USA, pro-Israel, pro-European, you can bet Guatemalans are going to be the first in line. Now, obviously, not all Guatemalans are like this, but a lot of them are. Unfortunately, a lot of the Guatemalan community has been hijacked by anti-Indigenous colorism and the colonizer mindset. If you know any Guatemalans personally, especially those who live in the USA, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They would gladly walk over their own mother for proximity to whiteness. But there you have it, guys. If you thought self-hate was bad in the Mexican community, wait till you see the Guatemalan community. But anyways, let me know what you guys think.
I completely agree with this statement. People are always wondering if I experienced racism in Mexico, but to be honest, I feel like I observed classism more than anything. Like, I personally haven't had a racist experience, but the classism is real here. It really is. Like, and you can just see the drastic difference between like rich Mexicans and your average everyday working people Mexican. Like, it's so in your face. And I see a lot of rich Mexicans, a lot. And they definitely have like this air of, you know, like, even I'm just a regular, you know what I mean? I've even had, like, for example, I was in a grocery store the other day. It was this girl, like, I can tell she had work done, like, literally had a big old booty, the boobs. She was carrying a Christian Dior bag. No. What's that? Whatever. I don't care what the bag. It was that very popular like tote bag that people always carrying. And I'm looking for tuna, and she literally, I'm sitting here looking for tuna, pulls her cart in front of the tuna thing and starts looking for tuna. I said, "Disculpe, the fuck? Like, you see me looking at this shit and you just pulled up like, I don't give a fuck what you looking at, bitch." And then I said, "Disculpe," right? And she looked at me. I kid you not. She looked at me and she said, "Disculpe." Like, I was like, okay. Like, no, the classism is really real here. Like, you can just tell with just the various sides of town. Like, if you go in different establishments, they'll look at you real different if they don't feel like you got enough money to be in there. Like, yeah, I see the classism more than I experienced the racism, right? And I also noticed that Mexico deals with colorism just like the United States, because there are a lot of dark Mexicans. A lot of darker skinned Mexicans. But what do the ads look like? The ads look like white people. White people. So they dealing with some of the same pressing issues that we deal with in the US of A, right? And I've definitely taken notice to it. The rose-colored glasses are off, all right?
Some of my white friends are like pretty bad. Like they will be somewhat racist, but my Mexican friends are like 100 times worse, right? Like, anything my white friend would say, my Mexican friend already had said to me. And we go back and forth, right? Fucking Kool-Aid, chicken, and then like tortillas, salsa. It goes back and forth in toxicity, and it just keeps on going that way, right? And I feel like we got more to talk about, because with a right friend, I'm not going to say something like fucking pumpkin spice or unseasoned food, right? That's not funny. That's not even a good stereotype. So I can't really have racist jokes against, you know, my white friends. But then when it comes to my Mexican friends, right, we go back and forth.
Y'all, I got a question. Why don't some or most Mexicans not like black people? Like, what is the history behind that shit? I'm from the Bay Area. And y'all know the Bay Area is more like united. Like, we all fuck with each other. We all vibe with each other. I know, like, LA, they don't all fuck with each other. Like, it's Mexicans is beefing with the blacks hard out there. But, like, I had just moved to Vegas, like, 3 years ago. And I experienced, like, heavy racism when I was going to, like, Las Vegas High School. And if you know, you know. That's on the east side. And that school was like mostly Mexican. And I just want to know, like, what is the history behind that shit? Like, what made Mexicans hate black people so fucking bad?
The racism that I experienced in Mexico was so weird because it was really in your face, but at the same time, people around me would deny that it was happening. So I was teaching a class, and as part of the class, it actually has a unit that talks about stereotypes and racism. And so I was never bringing it up just randomly. We'd get to that portion and go through the book, and I would tell the students, give me an example. All the students that I'm teaching are adults that work for different companies, and they're learning English. And we'd get to that part, and I'd tell them to give me an example of racism in Mexico, and they would all have like genuine confusion on their faces and be like, there's no racism in Mexico. And every single time that happened, I would just say, let's get up and take a walk, because the building that I worked in was in a mall. And so we would walk over to the mall, and there would be announcements hanging up for open positions, open jobs. And the announcements would literally have a skin color requirement on the announcement. Like, and so I'd point to that and say, okay, what is this if not racism? And they're like, oh my God, you're right. There is racism in Mexico. And so I have a different perspective when people talk about confronting anti-Blackness and racism in your own culture, because I see the disconnect that a lot of my families have with each other that I'm servicing. Like, between the children and the adults, there is so much disconnect. And I know they struggle having basic conversations with each other in immigrant families. So like having a conversation about anti-Blackness, I just know, and racism, I just know it's just so hard, because it's like they're coming from two different worlds to even talk about it. Obviously it's necessary. I'm just saying, I think it's a little bit more difficult than people on the outside realize that it's going to be. It's definitely an issue that has to be tackled. We have to deal with it.
Some Mexicans and their fight to have the right to say the N-word is really ridiculous, and it's comical. And them defending it, especially on the internet, is even more comical, because it's like, oh, we grew up saying it like that. None of the black kids where I grew up had a problem. One, y'all were kids. Kids are ignorant by nature. So don't think you're gonna get away with something being a full-blown adult, fully integrated into society, saying something that you know in most other cities, most other places, people are not going to appreciate that. And what's so hard about just respecting that? What's so hard about just being like, okay, I'm not gonna say it around you? Because the thing is, can't nobody stop you from speaking how you speak in your hometown or in your house. But what's the issue with learning new knowledge, understanding that, oh, this is actually offensive outside of the little neighborhood I grew up in, outside of the circle I grew up in. This don't rub people the right way. And just stop saying it. Instead of saying, oh, we grew up like that. I don't care how you grew up. You didn't grow up like a black person. You grew up like a Mexican person. So say some Mexican stuff. Why are you're not black? Contrary to popular belief, black people and Mexicans don't have the same experience. Do we have some overlap? Yes. Most groups have some type of overlap somewhere. But we do not have the same experience. And the real issue is that a lot of Mexican people, a lot of Hispanics can pass as white. A lot of Hispanics they don't, a lot of them can integrate to white society a lot easier and a lot better. You'll have similar hair, a lot of the time similar skin tones. We don't get to get away with that. We're going to be black regardless. If our skin don't tell it, our hair is going to tell it, or our features. So no, you don't get to join in on an experience you do not share. Is there some overlap? Might you have grown up in the projects? Yeah, but that don't give you the right to act as if you're one of us and say that. And that's okay. Just like we wouldn't say some of the stuff that y'all might say to each other that might be offensive coming from another group. We literally don't step on nobody else's toes. We don't say no other slurs, no other lingo that's just for y'all. We don't do nothing to nobody else. But for some reason, everybody wants what we got. And then the response is, oh, well, y'all shouldn't be saying the word either. That's not your business. Whether we say the word or not, it's really not your business. Is it a great word to say? No, not really. But that's not your business. You get what I'm saying? You can't be the offender and then tell the people you offended what they should and shouldn't do within their culture, with what means what to them. Why is that so hard to grasp? Why does everyone fail to respect our boundaries, but we respect everybody else's boundaries? And the moment that one of us disrespects somebody else's boundaries, all hell breaks loose. And y'all crucify one of us. And before y'all get in the comments saying, oh, we don't need to divide, it's not to divide, it's to highlight boundaries. Just because somebody highlights boundaries and points out an issue that they have does not mean they're trying to divide two groups. It's actually to coexist better. Because if you know our boundaries and we know yours, we know how to respect each other better, right? Regardless of what you feel like, well, y'all shouldn't do this amongst yourselves. That don't matter. Why are you worried about what's going on in our household? You get what I'm saying?
They're assuming that we're all racist. And they're assuming that we all hate black people. They have stereotyped us and put us into a category. So now they hate us because it's all of our fault. See, the actions of all Mexicans is my fault. Just the same way, I guess, maybe we could do the same. Black people also voted for Trump. So should we assume that all black people are not our ally then? Should we assume that all black people are Trump supporters? Should we assume that all black people are racist? No, right? And
to the Mexican culture, tell your culture to love us the way you love saying nigga. Tell your fathers and your grandfathers to be okay with their daughters and their nieces coming home with niggas. Everybody loves the cool parts, but love us. Don't just love the cool parts that come with the culture, the slang and the dress code and the music, and the rhythm and the style. Love us though. Love us. You know what I mean?
I don't got nothing against Mexicans. Y'all just gotta understand. I would not go around calling y'all or anybody else the slurs that were made to disrespect y'all. But why can't I get that same courtesy from y'all? It's not cool.
Brothers and sisters who have just watched all of those clips, and I just want us to talk for a second. Because if you are black, I already know what you are feeling right now. That thing in your chest, that mix of anger and tiredness, you can't even fully explain to somebody who have never lived it. That feeling of like, damn, again? We are doing this again? What makes it even hit different is that these are not even white people we are talking about. These are communities that got their own history of being looked down on, being colonized, being treated like they were nothing by the European colonizers. And somehow they still arrived in America looking down on black people, like they are the ones on the bottom of everybody's list. I have seen that many of the communities that were colonized have got their own hierarchy, and black people always end up at the bottom of it. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, that is not by accident, that is by design. See, colonialism did not only steal land from many of these people's countries, it got inside people's heads and made them worship white skin and look down on dark skin. And that programming is still running today, like nothing ever changed. Many of the people in these countries didn't change their mindset after getting their own independence from colonialists. I want you to remember the grandmother that the first guy talked about. She never met a black person, not even once in her entire life. She's never had a conversation with a black person, never worked with one, never even been in the same room. But she already got a verdict, already decided what black people are, just from watching a news channel that is being run by white Latinos. And many of these kinds of news channels are always showing black people as criminals, and they are showing white people as heroes. And this grandmother bought it completely. 80 years of her life thinking that that is just how things are. And here is the thing. As I told you, that grandmother is not only in Mexico. She is in Guatemala. She is in the Dominican Republic. She is in Korea. She is in India. People with that kind of mindset are everywhere. Anti-blackness is not a Mexican thing. It is a worldwide thing. And Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, are the one catching it from every single direction. From people who just migrate to America with that kind of mindset. From people who used the rights that Black Americans literally bled for to get opportunities and then turn around and disrespect Black Americans. The people who made it possible for them to be in America. I know that is a hard pill to swallow, especially for many Black Americans, but it is the truth. Let's talk about the use of N-word by some of these people. Some people really out there on internet are saying that they should be allowed to use that word, and they are defending it as if it is a debate. But for some of y'all Latinos who don't know it, that word was not born in the rap music that many of y'all hear it from. It was used to dehumanize people. It was used while people were being beaten, while people were being unalived. Because some of y'all are just saying that you grew up around Black Americans and you used to say it when you were young around Black American kids. Those were kids, and kids don't always know better. But you are an adult now. You are no longer a kid. So why do you want to use that word? To be honest, y'all Latinos, there's no excuse for you to use that word. And the fact that some people will fight harder for the right to say that word than they will ever fight for Black people's actual rights, that tells you everything you need to know about where Black Americans stand in their eyes. And that Dominican woman, she started off saying something real. I want you to go back and listen to what she was saying. She admitted that her family had the same anti-blackness in their house. Her grandmother was Black, and they still talked bad about dark-skinned people. There's colorism eating itself. But she switched up and started talking about Black men's reputation like that, somehow explaining the bias. And no, I cannot let that slide. You don't get to call out racism in your family and then use stereotype in the same breath to kinda of justify it. That is not growth. That is just the same thing, wearing different outfit. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm not here to tell any of you to go out and start heading on Mexicans or Latinos or even any community. You don't have time for that. And that is not what this is. The real enemy is not these people individually. The real enemy is the system that was put in their countries 100 years ago, that it taught them that Black people are less than other races. That system is the problem, and that is what people should be fighting against. But at the same time, Black Americans, if you don't feel like doing it, don't extend grace to these people who are not doing it back to you. You better stop assuming that just because somebody else went through hard times, they automatically got your back. You better watch how people move. That will tell you everything that you need to know about them. But since we are starting to see many people like the first guy coming out and at least admit the problems that exist in their communities, we're gonna start seeing some changes. Because once people start admitting the presence of the problem, that's when they start even trying to solve it. But before, we're not even seeing Latinos admitting that anti-blackness exists in their communities. That's it. Brothers and sisters, you don't have to drain your energy just because people out there are anti-black. No, that shouldn't affect you because it's actually affecting themselves. See, being against, voting against their own interests, trying to get close to the whiteness, and then it turns back on them. They're the one actually facing the consequences. So, Black Americans, you better stay safe. Protect yourself, protect your peace, name what you see when you see it, and stop carrying other people's weight because you have done it for many years and you have never seen any positive return. Y'all deserve better. And don't let anybody from any community, any background, anywhere make you forget that. Now, let's go ahead and have an open conversation down there in the comment section. I really like hearing from you guys. If I have made a mistake, it's better for you to correct me down there in the comment section. If somebody in those clips have said something that don't sit right with you, you better just mention it down there in the comment section because we are here to teach each other and to learn from each other. That was it for today. If you have enjoyed watching this episode, click on the like button. And those viewers who have not yet subscribed, click on the subscribe button. Mr. TA, your African brother. See you next time in the next episode.